There's a promise that a lot of people make to themselves on a Sunday. Not out loud, not dramatically, but quietly, before they even leave the house. And it usually comes after a few really bad Mondays, after the warnings, the late arrivals, or the sense that you've been getting away with something, but not for long. That promise, it sounds something like this. I'm only having a few today because I've got work tomorrow. And if you're listening to this on a Monday morning, driving to work or sitting on a train, and you're already tired, this episode is for you. Because the risk doesn't begin on a Monday. It begins with a promise made on Sunday that alcohol was never designed to keep. Welcome to the Truth About Alcohol podcast. I am your host, LeeDavy, and this is a podcast for people who know that something about their drinking doesn't quite add up and want to understand why stopping can feel so much harder than it should. No labels, no judgments, just honest conversation about alcohol and change. And today, we're talking about Sunday, bloody Sunday. Or are we talking about Sunday, amazing, beautiful, brilliant Sunday? Because that's how I used to think about it when I was lush, when I was alcohol reliant. Now, I grew up in South Wales, Ogmore Valley, right? In the valleys. And in South Wales, Sunday drinking isn't casual. It's not something you do every now and then if you're a man, right? It's a ritual. It is religion. It is masculine and it is inherited. When the pub doors open on a Sunday morning, right, there are lines of men waiting to get in there. There really are. The football's on, the pints are flowing, and you're not drinking alone because you are surrounded by other men, which means you go into rounds, okay? You go into the pub and someone looks at you, probably a friend or something, and they say, are you coming in a round? And it could be a round of 2, round of 3, round of 4, right? It depends how many people are going to go in a round. But when someone asks you if you're going to go in a round, that's the moment, right? That is a moment. Not when you decide to drink because you've already done that because you're going into the pub. But that is the moment when you reaffirm the promise you made earlier, okay? Now, you might say it quietly to yourself. You might tell the people in the group. And it goes something like this. Yeah, I'll go in a round, but that's it, right? After that, I'm heading off because I've got work tomorrow. And it sounds reasonable, responsible even. But now the structures change because you haven't gone in a pub to have 1 pint. Now you might be in a round of 3 or 4, okay? Now, alcohol, once you start drinking, is already entered the system, right? Now, from here on in, alcohol isn't just affecting how you feel, it's affecting how time, consequent, and exit are perceived. And before you know it, that round of 4, it ends very quickly, right? Quicker than expected. And now they're asking, do you want another round? Are we going to have 8? And leaving suddenly feels awkward. Explaining to them again that you've got work in the morning feels a little bit unnecessary. And without noticing, it happens, right? The promise shifts from this is it to, well, let's just have one more and see. And that is where Monday is lost. It's not through recklessness. It's through normalized, socially structured drift. Now, here's the part that people don't like to talk about or aren't aware of. And that is that alcohol creates a false sense of safety. It convinces capable, responsible adults that they're still in control, even while control is slipping. And you'll start believing, I'll stop soon, I'll be okay by the morning, I've done this loads of times before. But alcohol doesn't negotiate, it escalates. And once that first drink is in your system, stopping is no longer a rational, logical decision. It's a biological uphill battle. And now you wake up and it's Monday morning. You might not even remember what the hell happened on Sunday, right? And if the hangover is really brutal, if you're puking, if you're shaking, if you've got a splitting headache, normally you phone in sick. You have to phone in sick, right? Because there's no way you can go to work puking up everywhere, right? You have to go sick. Now, suddenly, there is a visible risk in the form of absenteeism, right? But the more dangerous risk is much more quieter. It's much more subtle. And this is when you wake up and you have low energy. You're feeling foggy. You're feeling flat. You haven't got a 10 out of 10 hangover. You've got a 5 or a 4 or a 6 out of 10. So you wake up, you brush your teeth, you do your thing, and you go into work, right? You get in the car, you drive, you get there, you lead, you supervise, you make decisions, you do what you're told, whichever role you're in, right? But you are operating at half capacity. And because you're obviously not drunk, You tell yourself that it's okay, that it doesn't matter, but it does matter. This is presenteeism, right? And it's far riskier than staying at home, especially if you are responsible for other people or responsible to other people. Now, there's something else layered on top with this Sunday drinking Monday morning, right? And that is this conversation we have that we haven't had a drink for 8, 10, sometimes maybe 12 hours. So it's okay for us to drive. But alcohol doesn't run on clock logic. It runs on metabolism. And people routinely drive to work over the legal limit in the morning, on a Monday morning, after Sunday drinking. And here's the part that nobody wants to imagine, right? If you hit somebody, you didn't just make a mistake. Suddenly, because you've been breathalyzed, you were driving drunk. And the law doesn't care that you were drinking 12 hours ago. The media doesn't care that you're just feeling rough, that you haven't actually had 12 pints and jumped in a car and hit someone. And your family doesn't care that it was a tradition. So I just want to bring forth here that Sunday decisions do carry Monday consequences, okay? Now, if you lead people formally or informally, this matters even more because leadership at 50% capacity isn't neutral. It normalizes foggy thinking, short tempers, lower standards, quiet risk. You're below the line, you're in parts energy, and the message it sends is subtle but very powerful. This is acceptable in our industry. This way of leading, this way of being, it is okay. And that's how cultures drift. It isn't through chaos, it's through normalized impairment. So if you're driving right now, or you're on the train, or you're on a bus, or somebody is driving you to work and you're feeling like shit, right? Because you had too much to drink yesterday. How much of today and this moment was decided yesterday when we weren't able in the moment to make a different decision? All right. No fixing, no judging, just notice it. Okay. So here's the uncomfortable truth. It is easier to not drink at all on a Sunday than to try to stop once you've started. And that's not a moral failing, it's just how alcohol works. And the hard moment isn't the Monday morning, all right, when you're deciding whether to go into work or not. The hard moment is actually Sunday afternoon, when you tell yourself, it'll be okay. That is where safety is decided. So Monday doesn't need motivation, it needs honesty. Sunday drinking doesn't just steal the next morning, it quietly compromises safety, responsibility, and leadership. And once you see that, the question shifts from, can I handle it, to, is this really worth the risk? Now, if this episode landed, not emotionally, but recognizably, pause today before doing anything about it, okay? Don't make any promises, don't make any plans to do anything. Just grow your awareness of what is going on in your life, right? Because, as I'll reiterate again, safety doesn't start on a Monday. It starts in the moment you decide whether to pour that first drink on Sunday or not, all right? So have a think about that today. Thank you very much for listening to me. I really appreciate it. Have a great time. And until the next time, strive on and much love.